Hey Deckers, as you can see, I've got a lot of stuff to get through today with some accessory reviews. So let's have a look at a few of the accessories that we keep getting given to have a look at on the Steam Deck. There's a lot of JSAUX stuff here. They keep sending me loads of stuff. So we'll get through most of this as we can. So we've got things like the mod case with multiple of the adapters. We've also got the UGreen power bank, or the JSAUX Kickstand dock, Uperfect 2K display, which can actually do 144 Hz. We have the Omnicase 2 Pro with the Steam Dock case, and also the laptop stand as well to have a look at. So let's get into this. So I'm actually going to start off with two of the JSAUX cases. The one here on the left is the mod case, and I've got the kickstand already plugged in there. This is detachable, so you can take this off if you want to put it into a dock. There's a couple of the docks that this gets in the way of, which I'll come onto in a minute. We've got our mod case connector. The front case of this is absolutely solid with great protection on the joysticks. This has been absolutely rock solid. And then we have the upgraded kickstand case. If you originally got the JSAUX shell case, then you will know what this is about. And I've also stuck the metal plate on here from one of the fans, which I'll show you in a minute, as we've got two different versions of the fans to have a look at. Kickstand on this one was adjusted so that it didn't interfere with the docks, especially if you had something like the official Steam Deck dock. When you plug this in, the original kickstand got in the way, so that's no longer an issue with the upgraded version. And this has a slightly different mechanism where you have to flip it down and two, so you actually have different versions of how high you can have this. You can change the angle and have it quite well tilted, and actually really tilted as well. Not that I'd ever want to have that angle, but those are the angles available. You can have it quite steep. So a little bit fiddly, but excellent to have, especially if you're going to be using it with an external controller. And then we have our mod case version. As I said, this case front has replaced a lot of the cases that I use, as it's just so easy. And then we've just got standard kickstand here. I feel like they've missed a trick with some of the mod case stuff, but we'll come on to that in just a second. The mod case stand does stand at a nice angle, but you've got no adjustment there. One of the additions is the dock. This has the two USB 3 here, as well as micro SD and standard SD card reader. And on the other side, we have our gigabit LAN. We have another standard USB. We also have our display port, as well as our standard HDMI, and then our power and our output to the Steam Deck. So this does get a little bit fiddly if you do want to put this on the back. And it does work with the kickstand as well. However, what I have actually found is you can take this off if you're using this, because it actually stands quite happily with the dock. Now, probably not really what it's designed for, but it does work. So something to bear in mind. You can see that with all this plugged in, it does become a little bit more difficult to then try and place on here. So it does become a little bit unwieldy. And this is where you could also do with the right angle connector. So it does just about freestand if you get it in the right place, depending on all of the cables that you've got. But that's where that kickstand will come in useful again. There we go. So it gives it a little bit more stabilization, but not the prettiest of solutions. Now, the reason why I say that I think they've missed a trick here is because it would be really good if you could attach other stuff on the side here. One of which, actually with the case on, does work, is the fan that comes with it. So you can have it on separately if you stick this onto a case that doesn't have one, or have a metal plate one like this, and you see that that is a different cooling fan, which I'll come onto in a minute. It's actually that cooling fan I forgot about. That's another one of the JSAUX cooling fans, so we'll come on to that in a minute. You can see just how stable that is with that on. So we do want to keep that off if you're going to use all of those together. And then you could put the fan on here. Again, because of this connector, we can actually secure it. so it stays in place, and that gives us our fan on there as well. So it'd be good if we could attach those together, but if you are using the fan outside of this, then it does actually work incredibly well to cool this down while it's on the dock. And because the screen's off, you can actually rotate this, and it sits actually quite nicely over that vent just in the front. But you don't need to obviously see the front if it's on a dock, so it can actually work both ways. But what I do want to show you is just how much this affects the temperature. However, it is incredibly noisy, which is the drawback of this. So I don't know if this is going to heat up much more. So currently we're sat around 78 degrees. Because this is battery powered, you do need to have the micro USB on. It's got a little fiddle on the side here. You see, even at low noise, at low speed, it's much more noisy than the Steam Deck fan. And if I rank this up to the top, it's incredibly noisy. So if you are going to use this, you either want to be using headphones, or you do want to be in a distance. So if it was docked, you want it near a TV and you want to keep it cool, then you can push this away. So you can see already with that at full blast, we're down to 71 degrees, and that will keep falling a little bit more. So with the fan, it does seem to keep it between 5 and 10 degrees cooler. So if you are running those high temperatures, then this is really, really good at doing that extra airflow. It really does push the air out and keeps those temperatures down even when it's really, really high. And that was Forever Skies, for those that were wondering. They did provide a new version, which is basically the same one, but with a sponge mount. So if you do want to have that more secure there, you can just place it over the vent and then bring that over and clip. And you can see that sits securely in place. And again, it's battery powered, and you can got the USB-C there to charge it. You can see that Star Wars Jedi is up to 81 degrees now, and that will keep going. It will go up to around 85, but you can see that it's still on the upward trend at 80. Again, if I turn this on, even at low, you've got a fair amount of noise. But if I crank this up to the max, again, it's very noisy, but we can very quickly start seeing that temperature start dropping. So effective, but noisy. Now, JSAUX did also send us the RGB fan, which is supposed to be silent, or quieter, should I say, which is this little one. And it comes with this metal plate to put on your case or your Steam Deck. I would advise doing it on a case, not directly on the Steam Deck. Give good heat transfer. It's got quite warm as it is there. It's mag mount, so I can just stick this on. But this one does require power. So it's a tricky one with this one. For some reason, that's no longer working when powered directly from the Steam Deck. So you will need an external power source for that one, which kind of defeats the object in my book. So if I do plug the external power in, you can see that turns on. This is definitely quieter overall than the other fan, but it still does make a noise. And again, if I see this has creeped up to the 84, 85 mark. You can hear that that's got a slight whine to it now. You can hear it a little bit more than the standard Steam Deck. It's not quite as effective as the vent fan, but it does cool it down a little bit. It takes a bit of time to cool that back plate. You can see that it's not quite as effective at all as the other one. The other one is much more instantaneous, so this one is still trying to creep up. So that one much more fiddly, slightly annoying unfortunately. But again, you can see that the other one's up to 89 degrees now. If I put this one back on, you can see that that other one was at 85 degrees. As soon as I put this on, I'll hold it. You see that temperature start plummeting straight away, but so much more noisy. There you go, see it's holding much closer around the 81 degree mark. I'm even going to push it under 80 as it really starts pulling that through. The other thing with the mod case And again, the reason why I say they've missed a trick is the power bank that you can buy with this, which is this one, comes with an embedded power adapter, which is fantastic. However, it is a little bit short. So if we do want to plug this in, then it's not the greatest. It does come with a strap to hold this in place, but the weight of this power bank is absolutely crazy. You do not want to have that extra weight on top of you holding the Steam Deck. So I do recommend you get a different USB-C and just have this near you on the side when you're playing. But again, if you did want to bolt that on, you can't attach the two together with the strap. One, it becomes ridiculously heavy and bulky, and two, you are not going to be able to secure it very tightly. Now, if you don't go the Modcase route, then you have got the Omnicase route. This comprises of two parts. This is the Steam Deck case for the Omnicase 2 and the Omnicase 2 Pro, and they also do a laptop stand as well. So the Steam Deck does not fit in the Omnicase stand, even with the thing on there. The weight distribution is way off, so don't think that you can get 2 for 1. It does sit extremely nicely in this one. Problem that I have found though is if you are going to use things like the card readers, you'd have to put that on first before you put that in. Obviously make sure you got it around the right way, otherwise you're going to block all of the other ports that you're going to need. And one of the great things with the Omnicase 2 and the Pro does have a couple of extra ports, but for both of these you have some cable storage and SD card storage inbuilt. So you will always have your USB-C, some adapters, and the right angle connector, which can be very useful. Make sure we get these ones right. And that's that one, and that's our power. When we connect that on, set our Steam Deck in, and as you can see, it sits quite nicely in with the case as well. So we can go straight in here, or we can go right angle connector to make it slightly nicer. I think for the Omnicase 2, actually, not having the right angle connector is probably the better option here. Other than that, the Omnicase 2 Pro is an awesome little dock with everything connected as well. Being able to detach this from the stand and plug everything in with your Steam Deck staying there is actually incredibly useful. So, plug the USB in here. Again, it all sits quite nicely. It can be a little bit tight, but overall it does fantastically well. If you're looking for a nice portable dock, it's much more portable than the others because of everything contained within, and the dock is actually incredibly nice. They have tried their best to prevent blocking the ports, so this is actually one of the slimmest docks on the market. You can see it doesn't actually block that port at all. There's a very, very minor amount of blocking with the case on. And if I take the case off, you can see that still sits very, very nicely. And again, if I look at the port blocking, there is a very, very small amount of port blocking now, but no more than any of the other docks, and probably slightly less than the other docks as well. Definitely better with the case on for the port blocking or the vent blocking. The Omnicase 2 Pro, definitely recommended if you are going to want to plug lots of stuff in and you don't have one of the other docks already. Obviously, if you've already got a dock, then it's probably not much of an upgrade. JSAUX power bank, show some stats on screen. This did manage around 1.3 charges, so is definitely worth going. I do find that this cable is actually incredibly annoying. It doesn't come with a bag either, so that you do have to find something to put this in. And because you can't actually take this out, it makes it a bit longer than it actually needs to be. And because you can't always get incredibly close to a USB-C plug for charging, you're still going to need a cable for charging it. So it's a nice idea, and it does have the 65 watts output, so you can have the Steam Deck charging at full rate and something else like your phone or a tablet charging as well with no issue. The UGreen power bank is rated at 145 watts. Can actually charge 2 devices as well as the Steam Deck at full power. Weighs actually about the same. It's not much different to the JSAUX one, but we do have up to 100 watt output on a single port. That only works though if you only have one thing plugged in. As soon as you plug something else in, it distributes it across the other ports and drops down under that 100 watt. And this one does come with quite a nice little bag. And I'll show you some stats on this one. This one actually charged the Steam Deck about 1.5 times, closer to 1.6, but easily be able to charge up another device as well plugged in. The bag is probably tight fit, especially with the cable that comes with it, the USB-C cable, which is also capable of 100 watts output. You've got to be careful with your USB-C cables. So although they look the same, some of them will not be able to actually hold that 100 watts or the higher current output. So be warned with that. But it's a nice little sleek case, bag, but it is a very tight fit compared to a lot of the others. So this is the Ebox 2, and this is incredibly thin. It's a fantastic monitor. We've got some basic controls on this side, as well as our USB 1 and 2 and the mini HDMI on the other. And you can also purchase a nice little bag as well. One section for all your extra cables. It comes with every cable that you need under the sun. You get a nice bag, good amount of protection. It's very nice and spongy, as well as the other case. So good space in here for all the extra cables. Now, one of the things that they needed to make sure that I pointed out with this is the way that this opens. This has got a case on by default, which is magnetic. You can actually take it completely out of this case and mount it in a VESA if you want, as it's got the VESA mount. I've got the 2 VESA mount points on this one, so not as solid as some of the others. Fits in the case magnetically. Need to make sure that this aligns properly. It's quite nicely. But the way that this sits on the front, it's very easy to think. We just pop this in like this. That does work. However, it can very easily flop down, especially at this one as well. So first thing to do is fold this over. You actually get an extra lip there, and it's much, much more stable. This screen is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to try my best to show it off with the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck with this is just absolutely phenomenal. If I go into something like Combat Master, it should just about power the screen, although it is very, very touchy about the amount of power that it needs for the screen. Fortunately, it does support pass-through power. You can see now that we're getting full charge on the Steam Deck. I'm actually going to force the resolution just to make sure that we're getting the full resolution of the game here. And show off all of that. It does support 2560 by 1600. Now you can see we're getting our full resolution. And there we go. Now turn VSync off. Get back into the game and we'll see that true FPS. See, now we're getting 180, 190 frames per second. Absolutely buttery smooth, instantaneous controls. And you'll just see me get killed a lot, especially on controller. I'll leave a link to all of these items in the description below. So let us know which of these accessories are the ones that you are most interested in. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.